Welcome everybody. I am Marilee Burnett, your astrologer, back with the messages this week, which are all about the full moon lunar eclipse. And this happens in the sign of Libra. So we are in the midst of the energy as I record this. Of course, the moon will look full tomorrow night because in the very wee hours of the morning on Monday, at least here in Arizona, is when the moon will be full and at its peak. But this is a penumbral lunar eclipse, which means for most of us, if we can see the full moon and we have clear skies, it'll just be darkened a bit, maybe deep orange, but it won't be like a typical eclipse where you're seeing it blacked out. So there's a little less intensity, and we'll talk about the fact that we've got 10 degrees between where the moon is and where the eclipses are, which are those faded points. Doesn't mean you won't feel anything, but this gap makes it a little less intense than other eclipses may be. And then, of course, if this is at 5 degrees in your own chart, maybe you have a moon at 5 degrees of Libra, you will notice something important, something faded, coming to an end, or some kind of closure. So let's dig in. This week we're going to spend the bulk of the time talking about the full moon lunar eclipse. And you can look at last week's video to get some ideas on the energy happening Saturday and Sunday, including the Yod on Sunday, which could be all about the lesson and the messages that you have to learn as far as this lunar eclipse energy goes for you. So let's break it down. Of course, for there to be a full moon, if you're looking at the chart on the screen in front of you, you will notice that the moon always is standing across the sky exactly the same degrees and minutes as the sun. So the sun illuminates the moon from the sign of Aries. So from this sign of independence is a light that shines brightly on the face of the moon, which creates the full moon. And fullness means something is coming to completion for you. Something's coming to fullness. So because of the eclipse with this full moon, there is a potential for there to be something that needs to be eclipsed out. Moon is our emotions, our intuition, our security, and our safety. Something about those kinds of topics may need to be eclipsed out in order for this completion, this faded ending to happen for you. And then we add in the layer of the energy of Libra, right? Things that are about relationships and marriages, goals involving relationships and marriages that can come to completion and conclusion, and maybe something that you need to release, a block that is keeping you from having the relationship that you're looking for. And we'll talk about the relationships that you have as we review the signs and the houses and how they're impacted as we go through each of those signs. Now, when we look at this energy here, we're noticing not a lot of conflicts. We, in fact, have really supportive energy from Pluto in Aquarius, so a fellow air sign. Pluto empowers us, especially when it is speaking in harmony with the moon and also in harmony with the sun, making a sextile there. So this is a time for completions and transformations. This is a time where you may find that you're completing things with the help of others, which is very much about this Aquarius energy, with the help of innovations, right? Being of service, some kind of invention, inventiveness, eclectic people. But the most important thing with the Pluto energy is you sometimes have to face your fears in order to use this Pluto power, right? So there is the potential for something very helpful here, but again, there's the energy of something has to change in order for this conclusion to happen. So that is, it's good, it's important, and these are these first opportunities that we have with Pluto and Aquarius, and now it's a part of a major eclipse. So it's a big moment. It is important. And whenever Pluto speaks in harmony with the sun, which it's been doing all week, we're getting an idea for how certain people use their power. Some will use their power for good, some will not. And that, of course, is an individual choice. But you have the right to use your power to do good things and to help other people. And we don't have to use power to threaten people, right? So we'll see the differences. There's always lightness and a darkness wherever the energy is. And there always is a personal choice that people have to make at this time. But you can use this and leverage this power to help you personally. Aries is very personal energy. So those are the only 3 that are directly involved in this full moon lunar eclipse. And I would say Pluto and the sun together are pretty powerful as they are helping to shine a light on what you need to see. So it's not a time for trying to hide or avoid change, because it's coming whether you like it or not. So let's talk about some of the supporting players and the nodes, right? So the nodes are the fated things that we're working on. And of course, the South Node is in Libra, where the moon is located. And that makes this work about releasing, where the new moon solar eclipse will be with the North Node in Aries, and that's about a new beginning. That's part of our fated journey and our fated path. But the South Node is about the things we already know, the lessons we've already learned, the karma that we're carrying. Karmic relationships may play a big role. We may need to pay back our karma, our karmic debt. That it's about releasing, resolving karmic debt. That's definitely a possibility. And of course, it has to do with relationships because of Libra, marriages, business partnerships. Some of them need to be let go because they're not honoring you and your independence. So this is letting go. When you have eclipses, it feels a little scary, but once you get comfortable with letting go what you thought you absolutely had to have and realize that hanging on to something has just been blocking what's actually truly meant for you to come in, it's worth the work. It's worth the effort. It's worth letting things go that are not meant or intended for us or have outlived their purpose for us. And that's the kind of energy that we're in now. So with this South Node, we've had Jupiter speaking at this odd angle called a quincunx or an inconjunct for, again, a good week. And Jupiter brings us growth opportunities. Now, if we're learning the lessons of the past, and if we have people show up from the past, they may be a part of the work that we need to do and we need to conclude so we can grow. We can expand, maybe even financially, right? Because this is in the sign of Taurus. It also can be about our values. It could be about beauty. There's all kinds of opportunities here, and you want to make sure your values align with your purpose. What we had on Sunday, and we still have the benefit of that at the full moon, is this really beautiful harmonious energy between Jupiter in Taurus and Venus in Pisces. And Venus is the ruler of this full moon because Venus rules Libra and Taurus. And in the sign of Pisces, Venus energy is strong. This is a very emotional, intuitive, somewhat delusional, rose-colored glasses kind of energy that Venus can truly appreciate. So it's good to notice what's happening with the ruling planet of the full moon. Well, Venus and Jupiter are both considered the most benefic planets in our solar system, and they're working together in harmony. So there's an opportunity when these two combine that shows us what it is that we need to let go of, what we need to release, what relationships we need to let go of, where we can rebalance our relationships. So there is something that we may see on Sunday as these two speak directly and exactly, that helps us understand fully the work of our full moon in Libra. So it's a yod when you have two sextile planets that are in conjunct the third point, and that third point is the south node. So there's something very fated, a mission that we are given on Sunday, and we want to be showing up. We want to do the work, and when we do the work, then that work can be concluded. We can be rewarded. It's definitely energy that we want to show up for and do the work. So it's really important that you understand what house this full moon is showing up in for you, and where do you have these two other sextile planets showing up, because there is work to do, and those two are showing you what that work is. All right, so let's take some time now, and we'll briefly go through the rest of the week as well. But I want you to look at this. Now, of course, I don't know your chart specifically, so these are suggestions based on if you have Aries at 0 degrees. But if you want to know for sure, book a session with me so that I can help walk you through where all of this activity is going to happen. But if you know your chart, take a look. Where do you have 5 degrees of Libra? Where is this 15? Because sometimes they're in different houses. I use Placidus. And where are this Venus and Jupiter energy showing up, and how are they helping you? So really, really important that you know and understand your chart if you want to take full advantage of this energy and show up to do that. So how do you show up? What does that mean? Instead of sitting around waiting for things to happen, you want to show up and align with the energy and connect to it and do things that show you're open and you're connecting to it, right? So Libra says, okay, something in my emotional self, I need to restore balance. Well, how do you do that? What do you like to do? I'm a Virgo rising. I like to get things cleaned and organized. And guess what I spent all day doing today was exactly that, cleaning and organizing my house. And that makes me feel good, right? So that makes me feel emotionally balanced when things are in order. But what's that for you? That's the thing you should do on Sunday, is whatever it is that helps you feel emotionally grounded. Maybe you need to go for a hike, right? What is it for you that you know when you do it, you feel good doing it in a healthy way? Let me add that little caveat. All right, so for instance, Aries, if you are needing to rebalance your relationships, because this happens in your 7th house, you're working on the energy between the 1st house and the 7th house, you need to do something that makes your partner's needs recognized and as important as yours, because the conclusion for you comes here in your 7th house of your serious relationships, your marriage partners, your business partners. So what are the goals that you and your partner have together, and what can you do to show up, show your partner how important they are, and then together bring whatever you need to bring to a conclusion? Okay, Taurus, for you, this happens in your 6th house. So the 6th house is bringing something to an end that involves the work you do. It could involve your health. It could involve your pets. Whatever you do on a day-to-day basis, this is, you could do things being of service to other people. And remember, conclusions are, do I have a goal involving my work? Then I could achieve that goal at this time. And the 6th house, where you have the full moon, is being offset by the 12th house. So when you have the sun in the 12th house, it's shining a light on your subconscious. And when the light shines on our subconscious, it brings our awareness to things that have been boiling underneath the surface that we need to resolve, because our mental health, often impacts our physical health, which shows up in our 6th house. So we're balancing those two areas during this full moon. Geminis, you have this showing up in your 5th house. And the 5th house is all about romance. It can be about children, can be about hobbies. It is always something that speaks to the heart. And so there's blocks that you can remove that are related to your heart. There are goals for your romantic life. There are goals associated with your hobbies, or maybe there's something about your children. Whatever the thing is that you're focused on at this time, the 5th house is offset by the 11th house, which is our friends and our networking groups and our benefactors. And so we have this group of friends that maybe are helping us see if it is a romantic potential. Maybe there's a friend that is going to show you that they're interested in you, or maybe it's your friends that help you see that what your passion is and what you can do with it and what you could do about it, or maybe taking a side hustle to be something that is helping you and other people, right? 11th house is friends and networking groups. What can I do that I love and I'm passionate about and help serve the greater good at the same time? It's always about balance. But what do you want to remove as a block from your 5th house? So if it was me, I need to show up and invest some time in whatever I'm passionate about during this full moon energy so that I can help call in whatever is fated and needs to happen at this time. And then we move on to Cancers. So Cancer, this is happening in your 4th house, which is the 4th house is what Cancer rules over, right? This is home, this is family, this is our ancestors, this is our roots, this is our foundation. And so there can be blocks to having good balance between work life, where the sun will be in your 10th house, and the home life, right? So whatever it is that takes you away from your family time, that may be something you need to make an effort to let go of, or vice versa. What is it that you wish you had at home, and maybe spend some time actually creating whatever that is. Maybe you need a quiet little sanctuary at your home. Whatever it is that you need to do to restore balance in your home, like cleaning and organizing, that would be a great way to show up and align with this energy. Maybe you're looking to buy a home, or there's all kinds of things that are associated with home and family. Do something around the home with your family. And if there's something that has been, undone at home for too long, now's the time to finish the project. When we move to Leo, this is happening for you in your 3rd house. So you're bringing something to a close in the 3rd house, which rules the communication. It could rule your siblings, your cousins, extended family. It could be something about transportation, something about taking a local trip or travel, or maybe it's just about getting educated. So what is the thing that you need to learn and you need to know, and what's blocking you from completing that? Could be so simple as you have an assignment that you're putting off for a class you're already taking. And if you do this with the energy of the full moon and it's concluded, then there may be a really big benefit that you experience as a result of doing the work at the time of the full moon. All right, Virgos, this happens in your 2nd house. And the 2nd house rules the money you make. It rules the things that you value. And this is your self-worth. So often the money you make is directly tied to how much do you think you're worth? Because that's how much you're going to get paid. So I would want you to imagine you are worth a lot. And with this full moon, you will use the energy to remove blocks to your value, right? Maybe it's removing people who make you feel unworthy, right? because this is about letting go. So across the sky from the second house is the eighth house. And so the eighth house can be that you have too much reliance on your partner, your spouse, credit cards. This is money and values that we get from other resources. And in the second house, this is the resources that we create for ourselves. So there needs to be good balance, good give and take, right? The money I make versus the money I owe. And if you're out of balance on one side of the scale or the other, this is the time to right the scales. And if you're in business with somebody, your business partner needs to be valuing you, and you need to value them as well. So this is the area of finances that most often is activated at the full moon. So you got to release whatever you have as far as money blocks go so that you can start improving your cash flow. All right, so that moves us around the first 6, and we're on to the next. And we finish with Libra. Of course, Libra, this happens in your first house. And this is all about your personal transformation, restoring balance, learning how to value yourself and your own needs, not just being the wonderful people pleaser that you are and always taking care of everybody else. And of course, everybody loves you for that. But it's exhausting. And so now's the time where you need to decide what you want, what you need, and start showing people that it's okay to want help. It's okay to want to be valued and respected just for who you are and not for what you do for other people. So full moon in your first house is completing a personal transformation. As we move into Scorpio, so Scorpio is that 12th house energy. And when we have full moons in the 12th house, in any event we have in the 12th house, it isn't always transparent what is going on because this is the subconscious mind. This is where things are hidden. This is where we can be trapped and stuck, like in a hospital, or we could work for a large organization. I see that show up with the 12th house. And again, now this is a conclusion, a letting go, a releasing of any subconscious blocks that you have. And you may realize what those are through your work, right? Because the sun's going to shine a light from your 6th house. So the opposite house is always where we're looking to see the clues about the full moon work that we're about to do. But when you release these subconscious blocks, Scorpio, you're going to end up feeling really amazing. As we move to Sagittarius, the full moon will happen in your 11th house. So that was friends and networking groups. So there can be, maybe there's a group project that you have that now you're ready to conclude. But the sun shines the light from your 5th house. And so you have to make sure that the groups you belong to, that you share the same passion as the group does. And if that isn't the case anymore, then maybe it's time to remove yourself from that group or remove yourself from those friends. Just because we liked what they did in the beginning doesn't mean we will always continue, right? You may grow and change it, and that's okay. But there's definitely something about what you're passionate about from the 5th house that is showing you what it is that you need to conclude with this friend group, this networking group. Maybe even a benefactor is going to show you something that is going to make big changes in your life going forward. As we move into Capricorn. So Capricorns, this is happening in your 10th house. So just like Cancers, this is the house that Capricorn rules. This is the 10th house of our career and our status and our reputation. And there can be a career goal achieved. And again, a goal achieved in your career, if it's been negatively impacting your family, then maybe you need to take a better, closer look at how much time and energy you're putting into your career versus how much time and energy you're giving to your family. And vice versa, right? Are you spending too much time focused on your family's needs and not enough on your career? That's the picture that you need to understand and bring into balance. But if you have something hanging out there like a big work project, you want to use the energy of this full moon to bring that to a close. All right, then we are on to Aquarius, and Aquarius, it'll be the 9th house. And the 9th house is about growth and expansion. It's spirituality, it's spiritual teachers. It is any kind of higher education. So what are your goals there? Is all the energy of things that are beyond our normal day-to-day, outside of our normal local community. So there's whatever is blocking you from this growth experience. That's what the sun is shining a light from your 3rd house. So a lot of times that can be just your mindset, right? What I think I know is holding me back from being able to explore what I don't. And it's through that exploration of what you do not know that you really have the growth opportunities show up for you. So take a risk, do something beyond your comfort zone, and that would show you're connecting to the opportunities for growth and expansion. And last but not least, then we have Pisces. And Pisces, this will be in your 8th house. So the house of transformation and rebirth. This is money that comes to you through your spouse or your partner. And that can mean that the need that you have for your partner to provide for you fully is going to change because of the sun shining a light from your 2nd house of the money that you make. So maybe this means a big job opportunity for you that allows you to not be so dependent on their money, not dependent on your credit cards, or whatever other debt you may have, because this new job opportunity will show up and help you restore balance between the money you make, the money your partner makes, and that will make both of you really happy. Okay, so that takes us through each of the signs and the full moon energy this week. And hopefully those are some ideas of the things that you could do to show up and partner with the energy. Of course, you need to do what is calling to you personally to do as well. And that's the biggest energy this week, of course, a full moon lunar eclipse. And keep in mind, whatever the event is for you, it can show up on this day. But we have 2 weeks as the light drains from this full moon before we have the new moon solar eclipse. And that's when things are going to get really interesting. So you'll definitely want to come back and watch that video as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about the impacts that you will feel more strongly. If you have your sun, moon, or rising at 5 degrees of Libra, you will notice this full moon more. If you have any other planets at 5 degrees of Libra, those will definitely feel the impact. And then any other planets in general at 5 degrees, like say your sun is in Taurus at 5 degrees, it's going to be a little bit of a weird full moon for you. So it just depends on the angle that you have these planets. And we usually say from 0 to 10 degrees. So 5 degrees before the moon and 5 degrees after, you'll still feel it. But the closer you are to the 5 degrees and these signs, specifically Libra and Aries, the more intense the experience will be for you. All right, so let's take a moment and now take a look at the rest of the week real briefly and what's going to be showing up for us. All right, so as we get to Tuesday, and again, I'm going to move through this pretty quickly because you're going to notice there's not a lot of new energy showing up because we're literally still working through the full moon energy. So we're going to move straight on from Tuesday. and we're going to head into Wednesday. And Wednesday things get interesting because on Wednesday we have Uranus at 20 degrees of Taurus in a sextile to Venus, ruler of Taurus, sitting at 20 degrees of Pisces. Now, we've been talking a lot about balance with the sign of Libra and the scales of justice. And this is another day where we may see something, but it's positive, right? It's a sextile, it's gentle energy, and it is about maybe relationship, a financial opportunity because of the money aspects of Taurus, and something that's surprising, but I think it's pleasantly surprising because of the way these two are combining. And the number 2 that the 20 reduces to is all about balance. So that looks interesting for us on Wednesday. Then as we move into Thursday, we have some interesting energy with the moon in Scorpio. Now, the moon in Scorpio is always a pretty intense moon. And on this day, it's going to oppose that Uranus energy in Taurus. And this can help us, connect the things that are hidden beneath the surface with the things that stimulate the senses. And at the same time, we have this positive connection to that Venus energy in Pisces. So on Thursday, it's a really important day to pay attention to your everything, right? The senses, your feelings, your intuition. This is going to be a pretty important day. So give yourself a little bit of time out. It would be a really great day to do things like scheduling a massage, things. Maybe it's music, whatever tends to stimulate the senses for you. Thursday's the day to do that and understand the messages that are coming through for you, because this is an important day. As we move to Friday, you'll notice things are calming down. We're not seeing anything directly aspected here on the 29th. And then as we move on to Saturday, the 30th, same thing. We're just noticing a lot of action with the moon. And you guys know I don't normally spend a lot of time talking about the moon because it moves every 2.5 days. But this moon, as it's been charged up with that eclipse energy, when it's making these kinds of interactions, specifically with the nodes, in a positive way, then we can, again, understand what's the work, what are we supposed to be releasing. Maybe this is a time where we're rewarded for doing that work. But again, there's something interesting today because of this in conjunct energy between the moon and Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. Now, this is the moon in the sign of Sagittarius, right? Where things are adventurous. So there could be an interesting opportunity maybe for you to travel. But it's just, there's all this activation. Positively, the moon today, again, speaks in harmony with the nodes. It'll also speak in harmony with Chiron. And Chiron plays such an important role with the new moon solar eclipse that any inclinations you get today about your health, you need to pay attention to them. All right. And then there is a bit of a square between the moon and Saturn on this day as well. So just tune in and pay attention to your intuition and your feelings. Ask them what they're trying to show you, because Saturday could be one of those days where you're like, dang, I feel like I'm all over the place. So give yourself some grace and allow this to fully show up for you. All right. And then Sunday is the last day of March already, which is unbelievable. I think the first 3 months of this year have absolutely flown by. And I can tell you, April is an incredible month with the eclipses, with this Mercury retrograde, and it's going to just bring so much change, and you want to be ready for it. There's a lot of work to do for us to heal as a nation, as individuals, and the month of April is going to show us how broken we are in some cases, how much we need to heal. There's a lot of work that we need to do, but when we do it, what's showing up for us is, whole new opportunities. But Mercury's been moving forward now. It started its pre-shadow at 15 degrees of Aries and now at 27. This is where it's going to begin to slow down. And on April 1st, it will go retrograde. So it will be in retrograde on the 1st, and it will be in retrograde at the eclipse. So as I've been working with my clients, I've been telling them you've got to be paying attention to what your Mercury retrograde work is, because it is very much aligned with your eclipse work, and your eclipse work is not just going to be done. There is things we need to see. Then there's things that we need to adjust. There are definitely things that we need to be having removed. Some will have them surgically removed. Others will have themselves physically removed from situations that do not serve them. There is all kinds of opportunities that we need to be paying attention to at this time. And if we don't, then the work becomes much harder. And so hopefully, if you've been tuning in and paying attention to my conversations over the past several weeks, you've been maybe doing some journaling, paying attention to the conversations around you, the information that Mercury's been trying to show you, right? So Mercury here in Aries has been helping people realize where they're not speaking up for themselves, where they don't stand up for themselves. And now, once you've seen all you've needed to see, right, from the forward motion that Mercury's had through the sign of Aries, as it slows down on April 1st, April Fool's Day, it's the time to start really digging in to what you've been seeing, what you've been saying, or maybe what you haven't been saying. And now it's time to start speaking up. So a whole lot of things to see. And this Chiron energy, this is the most intriguing part, is the fact that the moon, the sun, and Chiron will be exactly conjunct. So go ahead and take a look at my article for the new moon solar eclipse. Of course, read the one again for this full moon lunar eclipse if you haven't done that yet, and start getting yourself prepared, because the things that you're guided to do and change right now, you really just have to do them. You cannot delay this work, and we need to be prepared. Where there's painting, we will need to heal, right? And it sometimes takes a lot of work to heal, but we need to all come together and heal as one too. So lots more on that in the next video that I will do that will cover this new moon solar eclipse. If you haven't done so yet, go take a look at the tarot card messages for the full moon lunar eclipse. And if you want to get a reading, I still have a special offer out there for you where I can go do a deep dive on both the lunar eclipse and the new moon solar eclipse and get you prepared. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing full moon lunar eclipse. Get out there and see that beautiful moon. Set your intentions. Set your intention to remove and release blocks. And I'm wishing you very, very well. All right. Take care, everybody.